Okay, everybody, let's get started. Let's get started. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. We're excited tonight because we get our partners from the Sheriff's Department to spend a little time with us and talk about crime prevention, what each and every one of us can do to help make our city a little bit safer. I have to say, the Sheriff's Department does an amazing job to take care of us and protect us and keep crime very, very low. But there are a lot of things that we as individuals can be doing ourselves to enhance what goes on in our city, and that's what they're going to talk about tonight. So thanks to everyone for coming. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah and get started.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay? There we go. Is that better? Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My name is Sarah Shavani. I'm actually the crime prevention for the city of Stanton, but I do regularly help out with our north areas to kind of share the word about what we can do to recognize suspicious activity and to report crime. And why that's important for us, because 80% of our calls for service come from our residents. So you are the eyes and ears for us to keep an alert of what's going on in your neighborhoods. If we don't know it's broken, we can't fix it. If we don't know there's a problem, we do appreciate when you bring things to our attention. And that way our deputies are aware of any crime trends or anything going on specifically in your neighborhood. So tonight I'm just going to kind of talk about what my role is and some of the trends that we're seeing just in general in Orange County and specifically to your neighborhood. So I'm going to cover quite a few topics. If I can ask if we can maybe save questions towards the end. And if there's anything I haven't covered, myself or the captain will be more than happy to do the best we can to help you out. So my role as the crime prevention specialist is I'm specifically assigned to my city, or any crime prevention's assigned to their city, and we organize all the neighborhood watch meetings, business watch. We identify crime trends in the neighborhoods and businesses. We plan special events for our cities. We handle all the social media for the city, and we attend any meetings or anything that we feel that we should be a part of. I currently am handling the social media for Villa Park. I just kind of started, so when you see stuff being posted, that's for me. So we'll talk about social media at the very end. What is a neighborhood watch? Basically, it's just neighbors working together with law enforcement to report suspicious activities. Getting acquainted and getting to know each other, it starts with meetings like this. Hopefully in this meeting, the word will get out that you attended and you say how great it was, and then when we hold another meeting, then you tell a friend and then they bring a friend and we can get more people involved. But it starts with meetings like this. We work together to prevent crime, and we learn to recognize and report crime, and that's, for us, that's the most important thing that we try to share with our community. I know you guys have some neighborhood watches in place, and those people are very important. And how we like to organize and make sure that our neighborhood watches are working appropriately is we like to have block captains. We like to have a group of people that report directly to us so we can get the most direct information from the block captains. And they receive that information from the residents, and then they report it to us. And what the benefit of neighborhood watches, it basically keeps extra eyes and ears in your community. It's known that it does decrease crime in neighborhoods when you guys keep an eye out and report crime. And it also is increased communication with law enforcement, again, which is really important to us. So we kind of group some suspicious activities. This is general, but the first thing is, for us, some suspicious activity is door-to-door sales. So during the day when someone knocks on your door trying to solicit information, most cities, including Villa Park, they don't allow door-to-door sales without a business license. And I will tell you that it's very hard to get a business license for soliciting. And the purpose is we don't like people going and knocking on people's doors and soliciting. What do you think they're doing? If someone's up to criminal activity, why do you think they're going door to door? Like, what do you think they could be doing? There's no wrong answer, by the way. Perfect. Seeing if we're home. What else? Great one. Dog barking. What else? That works. That's great, actually. They're checking if you have cameras. They're checking if you're home. They might check if your doors are unlocked. They're seeing if you are home, right, and how you react to them being home. A lot of people ask me, you know, Sarah, when someone comes to my door and I don't open the door, what should I do? Well, that's a great question. And sometimes it's best to let them know you are home and talk to them through the door, saying, hey, I don't want you on my property. I'm going to call the police. I'm asking you to leave. Because if they know you're home, it might deter them from sticking around and trying to, you know, go onto your property or even check like your backyard or anything like that. Obviously, someone peering into cars or homes, we get that a lot actually, usually like in the nighttime hours when you get someone in your neighborhood and they're just kind of walking around and looking in cars. They're looking for your property, right? And the simplest thing with that is if you leave something tangible in your car is going to be a target. So we'll talk about that. Strange odors coming from a home or vehicle. Believe it or not, we do get calls like this, and strange odors could be like any chemical smells. There are people who do make drugs in their home. Even a welfare check on somebody, if you haven't heard or seen from your neighbor, something's not right, we do want you to call us. Obviously, anything active, breaking glass, screaming, fighting, or gunshots, those are priority calls for us to respond out to. Unknown suspicious vehicles. This is probably for Villa Park, the #1 calls that we get, and we had one the other day. Gentleman calls and he goes, hey, there's a car driving around my neighborhood and he is not familiar to us and there's 3 guys in the car. And I said, great, what's the plate? He had the plate, he had a great vehicle description, and the deputies were on it pretty quickly. And we were able to stop that car and find out what they're doing in the neighborhood. So that was great for us. Active alarms going off. If you hear an alarm going off, don't assume the alarm company has notified us already. You know, like you hear your neighbor's alarm going off, call us right away. Because if there's a delay between an alarm going off at a house and the time they call us, it could be a 5 to 10 minute delay. So if you do hear a house alarm or anything going off, do call our dispatch because that is a priority dispatch for us, and we do send deputies out to those very quickly. Anybody carrying or transporting any unusual, valuable objects. A good example is package deliveries. You know, package theft is something that we always deal with, and people will follow the cars and take your packages, and you'll see people walking with packages down the street. If they don't look like a delivery person and they're getting into their personal car with packages, please call us on those, and we'll talk a little bit more about package thefts. When should you call us? I think for us in law enforcement, a lot of times when I talk to people, the one thing they say is, I didn't want to bother you guys, or I wasn't sure whether to call you. And in our line of work, my philosophy is when in doubt, call us out, okay? Because a lot of times we'll even go to calls after the fact and someone will say, I saw this car like an hour before, or I saw this person, I don't want to bother you guys. So for us and for the deputies in the field is, if you think it's suspicious and it doesn't look right to you, go with your gut instinct and call us out, because a deputy would rather go out and check if it's a false alarm or nothing than have it be something that had already occurred and we could have captured that person or information at the time the crime was occurring. So if it seems unusual to you or out of place, please call, okay? I'm sure in your neighborhoods, you guys know your neighbors. You talk to each other, you know who should be on your street, you know if something's out of place. So if it doesn't look right to you, then please call, okay? And this kind of goes for us, time is of the essence. So when you guys call dispatch, we put the call for service in and we have a live CAD system. So if we're asking you questions, when we're typing the deputies, they're getting this information real time. So it goes right to their police car. So whatever you're telling us, they're getting it as they're driving to your house. So if it's happening or occurring right then, the deputies want to know, because as they're driving, they want to get that information while it's occurring. So time is a value for us. And just remember, call fast so we can act fast. Again, the more time that goes by, it's harder for us to catch the criminal because they might have already left the area. So has anyone ever called our dispatch or 911 for anything? No? Okay. So when you call us, we're going to ask you a lot of questions, okay? And we ask the questions for a reason, because we want to get things in order, and we want stuff for the deputies to identify as they're driving to specific calls for service. So a lot of the questions we ask are in this order: is, male or female, height, weight, skin complexion, clothing, facial hair, scars, marks, tattoos, how many people, what direction in the vehicle. Now, we don't expect you, we don't expect you to know all these things, but what stands out for us for sure is like clothing descriptions, like red shirt, black shorts, he had a baseball cap on, something that's going to stand out to a deputy as they're responding to a person. So being a good witness is being able to capture some of that identifying information for us when the dispatcher asks you questions, okay? Just to put it in something like you'd understand, if you have a group of 100 people standing around and we're all wearing black clothing, and you say he's wearing black clothing, well, that's not going to help us out because everyone's wearing black clothing. But if you can capture anything that stands out, oh, well, he's wearing black clothing, but he has a red baseball cap with an A on it. Okay, that just narrowed down that deputy's vision of what he's looking for. So little things that stand out help us out. Secondly, with vehicle descriptions, we will try to ask you as much about the car, the vehicle, make, model, anything that stands out about the car. So for example, I chose this shiny new red Jeep as an example. So who can tell me what stands out to them about that car? The smiley face, that's great. Stickers are unique, right? So a smiley face is gonna stand out on a car, okay? Because if you imagine a deputy's racing to a call and there's 50 red cars, again, we're trying to narrow his field search. So a sticker stands out to him, or her, very distinctly. And what else stands out about the car? Very good, the old style license plate. Even if you couldn't capture the number, at least say, hey, it's a black license plate with yellow writing. Again, that's just narrowing down what the deputy's looking for. And what else stands out about that car? The wheels, right? There's also a tire on the back of the car. It also has a special kind of grill. Okay, so any information when you look at a vehicle cruising around in your neighborhood, anything that you can identify on the vehicle, if you're unable to get a plate, does help, okay? Because what we do is when you give us these descriptions, we capture that in a call and we keep a record of that call. So the next night, if that same car's cruising around, we will go back to other calls and see how we can place the descriptions together to see if we can find someone. Because keep in mind, maybe one night you called without a plate, but your neighbor called it in later with a plate. So if we stop that car, we can identify that, hey, this car's been cruising around in your neighborhood and casing your neighborhood, and that's kind of how we piece things together. Again, going to vehicle descriptions, we're going to ask if you can identify the make, color, model, even if it has 2 or 4 doors, anything on the vehicle that stands out. We don't expect you to be car experts, because I'm certainly not, especially with some of these new cars. I can't tell you what they are, okay? I'll be honest, when I'm in dispatch and someone describes a car, I Google it sometimes because I don't know what the car physically looks like. So again, you're not car experts, but little things that stand out, color, doors, anything that stands out on the car really does help us when we identify who's in the neighborhood. How do you report a crime? Obviously, we want you to call 911 if it's an in-progress crime. If it's happening in front of you, if you say, hey, this isn't right, it's an emergent situation, call us. If it's a non-emergency number, I put our direct dispatch number so you don't have to go through the phone tree. So this number is our direct number to dispatch 24 hours a day, and you can call that number to call the police. So that would be a good number to put in your cell phones or write down. I will tell you how it works with your cell phones. If you do call 911, your cell phone is going to ping to your cell phone tower, okay? So let's say the cell phone tower hits in Orange. Orange PD is going to get that call first, and then they're going to disseminate the information back to the sheriff's department. So the first thing we're going to ask you when you call 911 is what's your address, because we want to make sure you're in the right jurisdiction first off. So keep in mind when you call your cell phone, on your cell phone, it's not going to ping on your home address like a landline would. Your cell phone's going to ping to wherever you are. So make sure you can give us some cross streets or your address so the dispatcher can make sure that the call goes to our jurisdiction. Same thing for medical calls. All fire calls come to the police department first for the sheriff's department, and we send all those calls to the fire department. So those come to us first. Yes, ma'am.
I have for the police another number, 6477000.
That's the phone tree number. So you'll have to go through the phone tree, hit number 9, then 0, then 1.
This other number is
Yes.
got it. Thank
Yes. This is the super secret direct squirrel number. Don't tell dispatch I gave that to you. No, I'm just kidding. I just don't want, the phone tree is frustrating to me because if you're trying to call, I don't need to go through the recordings to get to talk to a live person because you can't, it's hard to talk to a live person nowadays. The most important thing is you can remain anonymous. So the reason why is we want people to call us, and not everybody wants to give their name, address, and phone number. So California lets us, you can call and report crime and being anonymous because we'd rather have you call it in than not call in it at all. So you can remain anonymous if that makes you feel more comfortable. Okay, we're gonna start off with a fun topic. We're gonna go into residential burglaries.
Hi, I'm Deputy Coco with the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and I'd like to talk with you about some ways you can limit your risk for becoming a victim of home burglaries. While we are fortunate to enjoy safe communities here in Orange County, residential burglaries continue to be an issue. Thieves look for the easiest and quickest ways to commit a crime, which usually means surveying an area for unlocked doors, open windows, and unattended garages. Don't make it easy. There are simple things you can do to protect your homes and property. Make sure doors and windows are locked whenever you leave the house. This includes securing all side gates and garage doors. Even when you are home, it is good practice to keep things locked up. Consider reinforcing the glass on doors and windows by adding a security film, which can make smashing windows or sliding doors more difficult. Also, remember to increase visibility and up your security. Keep all shrubbery well maintained and consider installing motion-activated lighting around your home or investing in a security system. These tips are simple, but they can be powerful tools to help you avoid becoming a victim of crime. Thank you for joining us to shine a light against crime.
Okay. These are simple tips, but believe it or not, these simple tips can deter theft, okay? And there's no wrong answer here. How many people here have security cameras? How many people have alarm companies? Okay, and we've all done it. How many people have gone to run to the store real quick and maybe left some windows open or not locked the door because we all kind of have a false sense of security, like, hey, we live in a nice neighborhood. I'm gonna nip out to the store for 20 minutes and I'll be right back, okay? It only takes 3 to 5 minutes for someone to go into your house and take what they're looking for, okay? So what we like to do is we like to take that opportunity away. And those opportunities are tips like locking your windows, locking your doors. If you have side gates and you're not home during the day, put a lock on the side gate, okay? If you have an alarm system, and I will tell you I am guilty of this sometimes, I don't always set my alarm system because again, I'm just running to the store. But an alarm system is an amazing deterrent for thefts because the alarm will go off and sound and they don't want to stick around, okay? If you do own a second-story home, I will tell you a lot of people will just zone the bottom part of the house, but they don't include the upstairs. And a lot of these rings that are going around, we'll talk about the rings of that are going around. They know this, and so they actually will go through the second story of the home, knowing that a lot of people don't arm the second story of the home with like a window smash or motion alarm. So if you do have a second story, just keep in mind that your alarm system should cover your house, okay? For us in law enforcement, we love cameras, okay? Ring cameras, just anything that we can capture an incident on because maybe if your neighbor's house gets broken into, the deputies aren't just checking your house for cameras, we're checking your neighbor's house for cameras. And we will knock on people's doors and say, hey, do you mind if we check if you have video surveillance? Because that's how we ultimately can identify people through different technologies that we have in law enforcement. So cameras are great. Any cameras that have voice down capability. So if you're not home and someone is at your door, you can acknowledge them through the camera to say, hey, I'm home, I'm calling the police, and just deter them from trying to come into your house. The most important thing is, I brought a checklist with you. This isn't set in stone, but these are some of the things that I've identified that you should, if you get a chance, check around your house to make sure things are functioning. So I will pass this out to you. It's a checklist, checking your security, your doors, your garage doors, and just some tips that you can walk around and kind of self-check yourself to make sure these things are working. The important thing is if you have locks, check them. If you have window locks on your window, make sure they're in working order. Update it if they're old. Replace those types of locks. In the video earlier, they showed a new type of technology with a window tint that actually prevents people from smashing your windows. It might be a little extra money in your home, but you can't put a price tag on your safety and security because window smashes are one of the biggest ways that burglars will get into your home is smashing a window. Using your deadbolts is important. Deadbolts just make it a little harder for them to get in. Kind of the old school view lensers through your door so you can see who's at your door if you don't have a clear vision of your door. Especially when you have solicitors coming, you want to see who's there. Part of the thefts that are happening right now will be people coming to your door, trying to befriend you, and then when you open the door, you just let the opportunity in, right? So opening that door could allow someone to come into your home. Lighting is key. Especially when you're on vacation, getting timers for your house, putting the lights on at night. A dark house invites people to come over. So if you're out of town and your house is dark for 7 to 10 days, and someone might be driving up and down your street, they're going to notice that your lights are off, or no one's been home, or the mail's piling up outside. So if you have any motion lighting's great. Even letting your neighbors know you're out of town, maybe they can switch on lights for you. Keeping an eye on each other, but lighting is important. And don't be afraid if you see your neighbor's house and you're like, hey, Bill, I noticed that your front porch, your light's not working at night. Well, maybe he doesn't know the light bulb's out. It's kind of like your brake lights. If your brake lights go out, you're not going to know your brake lights go out unless you get pulled over by a police officer or someone says, hey, your brake lights are out. So also don't be afraid to tell your neighbor, like, hey, I was driving home the other night and I noticed your house looked really dark. Because you're looking at it from a different perspective. So being a good neighbor to your neighbor is maybe telling them something that you've noticed that stands out about their house or could be a weakness on their house. Also, with the Sheriff's Department, if you do go on vacation, you can go online and fill out a vacation request, and that lets us know you're out of town. The deputies will do extra patrol checks of your residence, but just another deterrent to let us know that you're out of town. Again, going back to cameras, we can't recommend camera systems, but the technology is out there. You can get cameras on Amazon. Security companies now offer monitoring through your alarm system, so they can actually see somebody at your house if you're not home. It's a great asset for us, and it's also great for you to look at your house while you're away. Just a personal story, I live nearby, and I had someone come to my house a few years ago, and they tried to get into my house, and then after that, like right now, I have cameras everywhere, I have lighting, I have everything. And again, just that sense of security that you don't think it's going to happen to you or someone's going to come to your house. So it also kind of helped me realize, like, hey, I need to make sure that I have those things in place as well. Going back to the alarm system, so if you do have an alarm system, a lot of people have their alarm system set up that it's going to call your relative first, your neighbor, your third cousin, your pet's grandparent. We would prefer, if you have an alarm system, the first call should be to the police department. And so when I go to businesses and I look at their call list, like, we're number 7 on the call list, and I get it, you're worried it's going to be a false alarm, but we'd rather check a false alarm than somebody actually breaking into your house. So if you do have an alarm system in place, make sure that when you ask the security company to make the notifications that, to keep it real, the police department should be the first person so we can get deputies started. Okay. When we get an alarm call, we call it a priority 2 call, so it is dispatched before a lot of calls, because we know that if an alarm goes off, we want to make sure that no one's home or business is getting broken into. And again, some companies offer video monitoring, but with all the technology, that's something you could also invest yourself. So in Villa Park, most of the calls for service that I look for, you actually are doing pretty good on your calls for service in your city. So we do have a few vehicle burglaries around. And what do you think the #1 reason is for your car to get broken into or for someone to access your car? Unlocked, okay? We forget to lock the car. Again, we're in a hurry. We got the kids, we got the groceries, we got packages, and we just want to unload the car, and then we forget to lock the car. So that's probably the #1 reason why people's cars get gone through, is because they leave it unlocked. So get in the habit, if you have an alarm system, lock your door. Don't leave valuables. I will tell you, people will break into your car for a cell phone charger, okay? So put it away, hide it under your seat, put it in your trunk, especially when you're out and about shopping, leaving packages in your car. They will break your window for anything of value, okay? Especially us ladies, please don't leave your purse in the car when you're running in to do a quick errand, because when you park your car in the parking lot, you don't know who's there, and people are going to start walking in the parking lot and looking in your cars to see what's of value. So.
Hello, I'm Deputy Ramirez with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Did you know one of the most commonly reported crimes in Orange County continues to be property crime? This includes vehicle theft and burglaries. When it comes to this type of crime, offenders often look for the easiest targets. They'll test door handles in neighborhoods or shopping centers, or they'll peer into car windows looking for exposed items. Don't get complacent when it comes to protecting your property. Whether at home or away, always remove anything of value from your vehicle and always lock your car. These are small tips that can help prevent a potential big loss. Thanks for joining us to shine a light against crime.
Okay, pretty easy. Even when I came here tonight, I'm like, I know I'm in Villa Park, it's a great place, but I literally made sure all my stuff was locked away, just because that's what I practice, and that's what I tell my mind to do everywhere I go. So I do the same thing every time, so I just get a habit that when I park my car or I go somewhere, I just put everything away. I tuck my cell phone charger away. Just whatever I can do not to make it easy for criminals. Has anyone ever had their car broken into? Okay, right? It's very violating, right? They broke into your car, they broke the window. Most of the times it's more money to replace the window. It's not cheap to replace window, especially today. Even myself, many years ago, someone broke into my car, and it's very violating, okay? So it's always a reminder to me, you just have to do these simple things to not let people get into your car, okay? Another thing is, don't leave your garage door openers in plain view, okay? A lot of us will put it in our visor. If you do have a garage door opener, again, I'm not saying don't keep your garage door opener in your car, but put it away somewhere, in the glove box or in a compartment, okay? Because when they're looking, especially if you live in a gated community or something that requires a gate, now you've just given somebody access into your whole community or to your garage when you're not home. So get in the habit of not keeping your garage door openers. Because when your car gets broken into and you have one in there, they will take your garage door opener, because they want to know if they can come back and get into your home through your garage door opener. Car phishing's a thing. Unfortunately, there's technology out there that crooks can buy things online to unlock doors or have keys. And obviously, we can't prevent that stuff from happening. But if you lock your doors, you take things out, you don't leave opportunity there. They don't want to really waste time on a car that they don't think there's anything in there that they can take, okay? And again, if you provide it, they will take it. And that's just a really simple message when it comes to property crimes. Okay. Any questions on the property crimes? Anything with that? Okay. The next thing I want to talk about, because this is huge, is fraud and scammers. Okay, how many people have received the calls at home? Like you owe the money to the IRS, or Southern California Edison's asking you to pay a bill online, okay? And right now, this is a $1 billion industry for criminals because they take the time to get to know you before they call you, okay? The information technology is out there. They can Google you, they can look you up, they can look up your address, see if they can find a name. They will go on social media and randomly start checking people. And this is how their mind works, right? They try to, when they call you, they pretend they know you or they have information on you, okay? So if anyone calls that you don't know, do not ever give them any information, okay? And if any of you can actually get a hold of the IRS, let me know, because they don't call you, okay? Has anyone tried to call the IRS? Like, you cannot get through. I know they're not calling me, okay? Because they're going to send me a letter probably first, and that's not somebody's list I want to get on, is the IRS list, okay? The IRS is never going to call you and say you owe them $500 in gift cards, okay? And I know that sounds funny, but they scare you, and they use very aggressive tactics to scare you. And I will tell you, my mom, she's the most kindest human, and she'll talk to anybody. And I have to tell Mom, I go, Mom, don't talk to people on the phone. They're not your friend, unfortunately, and I have to remind her that just hang up the phone, okay? And a lot of times they're getting smart. When you get a phone number, it'll say U.S. government. It will say the IRS. It will say Southern California Edison, because they spoof these numbers to mirror a real company. So when they call, you believe they're calling you, okay? So we get a lot of calls in dispatch every day. Hey, I just got a call from so-and-so. I don't want to give them any information. We're like, thank you for calling. We'd rather have you call dispatch and be like, hey, I think this is a scam, because we're going to tell you probably 100% of the time it's a scam, okay? If anyone calls if you're a credit card company and says, hey, you owe us $500, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my credit card company, right? Or call the number on the back of my credit card, because I know that's who I'm talking to, okay? So if you want to take the time on the FBI website, they actually have a list of all the scams going on right now. There's a ton of them. And the ones in Orange County are going to be people calling saying your loved one's in jail. That's a big one right now. Or the police department soliciting money for funds. We don't solicit for money. There's ones going around for your family members have been kidnapped. You need to send money. Sweetheart scams. So there's a lot out there. So please go with your gut. Don't give anybody information over the phone, okay? Another one is they'll call and say, hey, your computer's been hacked and you need to give us your IP address and $500 and we'll take the bug off your computer. And then what they do is they go into your computer and they hijack your information off your computer. It's like a blackmail scam. And then people will give them the IP address and then they've just gotten access to all your information. So if you ever get a weird phone call, please don't give any information over the phone. Call the person who's technically calling you if it's somebody that you're dealing with, or call us and ask if it's a scam. Or again, you can go on the FBI website and everything's listed on there. Has anybody in here received weird calls from people before? Yeah, and they're relentless. They'll keep calling and calling, and they're very aggressive. If you've ever seen YouTube videos where people will stay on the phone with the scammers, and they're like, and they get very aggressive and mean, and then they threaten you. Like, we're outside your house. So they're not outside your house because they're usually calling from another country. Okay, it happens. So trust me, we see it and hear it all. And the thing is, with all these scams in law enforcement, sometimes it's hard for us to keep up with it all because there's just so much of it going around, and they're very intelligent when it comes to this stuff. Another great tool we have with the Sheriff's Department in other cities, we have you can Google this website. It's called crimemapping.com. You can put in your home address, and it will tell you any crime that occurred in your neighborhood. It's real time as far as the information. If you put in your phone number in the app, it'll text you when a crime occurred in the vicinity of your residence. So you can actually see what type of call we went out on. It gives you the date, the time, the case number, and what type of crime we went out on. It's just good for you to know, like, hey, there was a vehicle theft in our neighborhood, or there was a mail theft in our neighborhood. And the Sheriff's Department uses this, and we update it every 24 hours with information, and other agencies, Anaheim uses it, Orange PD uses it, so it's a great resource for the public to see what's going on in their neighborhoods. I just want to talk a moment about this type of burglary that's going around. They do target specific neighborhoods, high-end neighborhoods. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Chilean crews that are going around, or the South American crews. And they're the ones that come into crews and target high-end residents. And we've been seeing, and I'm sure the captain can talk about it, but we've seen a high increase in Orange County with this. And I just want to show a video that just came out on the news yesterday, just to kind of, so you can see what it is and what they're doing. If I can get in. I need my glasses, sorry. The struggle is real.
And professional theft rings are being blamed for a series of high-end professional burglaries across Orange County.
Oh.
The influx of burglary tourism is causing serious concern for homeowners in wealthy neighborhoods. Officials say the international theft rings are being blamed.
Give me 1 second. Right? I still can barely work my iPhone, so.
For a series of high-end professional burglaries across Orange County. The influx of burglary tourism is causing serious concern for homeowners in wealthy neighborhoods. Officials say the professional thieves are based in South America.
And then they can easily leave the country and escape our laws. Shelby Nelson live in Huntington Harbor now with more on this story for us. Shelby.
Yeah, Sam, Rick, as you said, it's what is called burglary tourism. We don't hear about it very often.
Well, I think we're just going to listen to the newscast,
it's been
okay?
going on for quite some time, especially in communities out here in Orange County and right here in Huntington Harbor. Now, according to the Orange County Register, crime data in South Orange County shows that the number of home burglaries last year were relatively low, but still the OC Sheriff's Department saying these thieves are at work. Authorities say there has been an increase in residential burglaries linked to South American theft rings. Investigators in Los Angeles told the OC Register that the people involved are professional criminals. They're quick. They'll bring with them heavy-duty tools to uproot safes that are bolted down or mounted, and these groups have been around for years, but authorities noticed an uptick about 5 years ago with police arresting more Chilean and Colombian nationals. Authorities say the thieves surveil the homes and then return to them when residents are gone.
It varies. Some of these residential burglaries have been reported where there's a second-story home. And in those instances, these burglars go in through. Most of the time, the reason why they're going in through there is because people don't install alarm system on their second.
Now, authorities say the groups have targeted affluent coastal neighborhoods and homes bordering trails, parks, and golf courses in places like Laguna Niguel, Dana Point, and San Clemente, to name a few. The Register reports that here in Huntington Harbor, there have been more than 30 residential burglaries from June of 2021 until now, and burglary tourists could be to blame in many of these cases. Authorities have told us in the past that some of these crooks are getting visas and simply fly into LAX. In other cases, authorities reportedly say that some are using a certain visa waiver program, allowing citizens from some countries to travel to the States for tourism or business without having to obtain a visa in the first 90 days. Now, Shep Bryan, who owns Maximum Security Safes in Santa Ana, tells us within the past 6 to 9 months, they have met many customers who have fallen victim to the crimes. Shep says a safe is a person's last line of defense.
Always bolt the safe to the floor, and if you're able, get a heavier safe, a better built safe. If a safe hasn't been tested at Underwriters Laboratory and passed the very basic test, don't even consider it.
Now, many of these people apparently are shipping those stolen items back to their country, or they sell them before they go back. Reporting in Huntington Harbor, I'm Shelby Nelson, KTLA 5 News.
All right, Shelby, we thank you for that.
Kevin, do you want to talk about these for a second?
Donating pet food can keep families together.
Hey, good evening. Captain Knudsen here, if I haven't met you yet. So that was on Channel 5, if you're interested in looking that video up. It's a good video. You know, like Sarah was mentioning, is this real whole purpose is prevention, right? So these types of individuals, this is their occupation. This is what they do to make a living, and they're very, very good at it. They look for specific things in the house, so they're not going to ransack your house. They're going to go to specific points, which is usually the master bedroom, which a lot of times in, you know, like Villa Park community or nice communities, it's the second story. A lot of people have like a balcony, a slider, French doors. That's where they're making their entry. They're climbing up. So we need to make sure that, you know, in our backyards, we don't have, you know, we're not making it accessible to them with, you know, maybe a ladder or furniture that can be stacked up. They're pretty creative about how they get in. And then they like that second story window because they know most of the time that window isn't alarmed. You know, we put alarm system sensors and cameras on our ground floor, but we neglect the second story. So, you know, maybe that's something to look into if you have an alarm, your alarm company, hey, what can I do to get some type of protection up here? Motion lights. Yeah, they're very, very proficient at what they do. What else? What they like to do is they have, usually there's 4 or 5 of them in one vehicle, or they'll have a secondary vehicle that's kind of as a lookout. So again, in this community, we're all pretty aware of like who's on our street. So if you see a car on your street that just looks out of place or is hanging around, or maybe it parks at the end of the street and 3 or 4 people get out and start walking down the street or walk into the greenbelt area behind your residence or behind the residences, that's a tip that these guys are probably going to do something they're not supposed to do. So keep an eye out for that, and please call us, you know, as soon as possible so we can respond and try to catch them. So.
And keep in mind, these crooks target specific neighborhoods for a reason. They know Orange County very well, and they know the high-end areas in Orange County. So they're not, you know, going to like an apartment complex. They're going to high-end neighborhoods that they know that there's nice things in there. And part of it is not being complacent inside your home, okay? So if you have valuables, lock them up. If, you know, don't leave your valuables in your drawer, you know, because unfortunately if someone does access your home, what have you done? You've deterred them from getting to your valuables because you have a safe, or you hide them away, or you don't make those things accessible, okay? The other thing is if you do have high-end valuables, if they're serialized or have any type of identifiable information, make sure you write that information down somewhere, because for us as law enforcement, when something that has an item number is stolen, we actually enter that into a system. So if it gets pawned, if it gets sold, if someone's has it in possession of it, we can run it and say that that's stolen property. Okay, so if you do have those high-end items, we really highly encourage you to please secure those items in your home. Okay, and again, we don't want you to feel like you have to lock down your home. Okay, but you know in your home what's valuable to you and what would be easily accessible if someone came into your home. Okay, so don't be afraid to even walk through your home yourself and be like, oh, that's out, or my jewelry is out, or, you know, even if you own firearms, make sure they're secured, stuff like that, okay? So those are just important tips that we ask you to do to check those items in your house and make sure that they're safe. Now, if I can get my PowerPoint back up. I got this, okay. We have a lot of community resources here that we offer with the sheriffs. What's great with the Sheriff's Department, because we're such a big agency, even when we service like the city of Villa Park and we do have a major crime, we have a lot of resources within the department. So we communicate with each other. Like I work in Stanton, but I communicate with all the crime prevention specialists in Orange County. and we say, hey, Villa Park just had a crime, or this city had a crime. We communicate what's going on in all the neighborhoods here in Orange County because we feel like caring is sharing, so we want to share that information. We also share that information with the public of what's going on and what resources are out there. So we have on our website, under the sheriffs.gov, under community safety articles, we cover a lot of topics if you have any specific questions. So there's checklists for your home security, any scams, personal safety. We cover all those white bulleted items there for you if you have any questions, in very good detail if you want to take the time to read those things and make sure that you're safeguarding yourself, okay? And if you trust your neighbor, you can even have your neighbor come over, and I gave you those little checklists, like don't be afraid to walk through with your neighbor because maybe your neighbor will see something that you don't. So don't be afraid to talk to your neighbors. Our neighbors are the greatest resource. I'm very fortunate. I take the time to know my neighbors. We all have phone numbers. To give you an example, a few weeks ago, there was someone who came to my door at 6 in the morning, and he was handing out flyers, okay? But he was checking door handles. So as soon as I got my Ring notification, I sent like a mass text alert to all my neighbors. And they're outside checking make sure their cameras are working. We network with each other, okay? And my neighbor actually texted me before I got the notification, and she says, hey, someone just came to my house. And so we put each other on alert, and we called the sheriff's department. So that information with your neighbors is super important. So don't be afraid to exchange phone numbers. If you guys have Nextdoor for Villa Park, it's a private group which you can create to share information in your neighborhood. I will tell you though, they're great, but if you see something suspicious, some people will be like, hey, there's a suspicious car driving around, keep an eye out. And then I'm in those social media groups, and I'd be like, did you call the sheriff's department, or can you call? And we do want you to report it, but also make that call to us as well. So we can kind of work with you while you're giving out your neighborhood notifications. There's also a great app that I encourage you to put on your phone. It's called Alert OC, and it's something that we offer if there's any type of incident, emergency, anything, we send out notifications to give instructions of what's going on. And it's a free service that we offer. And then we might send out information that requires immediate life-saving actions. So that's a good free app that you can put on your phone. Why is this stuff important? Because this is some statistics that I threw together in this nice neighborhood PowerPoint slide. But 67% of homeowners feel secure when they know their neighbors, because we keep an eye out for each other. 93% of people said that neighbors will look out for each other if they communicate with each other to do that. 35% people say who know their neighbors reported and shared information about crime and activity with each other, and then that information gets shared with law enforcement. And 79% of people saying that they use some type of online neighborhood forum to talk with neighbors, or they try to make a point of talking in person with each other. This is our social media that we have for Villa Park. I'm not a huge social media, I'm a Facebook person because that's easy for me to use. I don't personally use Twitter. I do use Instagram a little bit, but that's the stuff that we use to post information on our social media. So we will post anything going on in Villa Park, specifically with a crime trend or anything going on. A lot of times people will message me on social media and provide information to me. Keep in mind our social media isn't monitored 24 hours, but if it's something that you don't want to call, or you can send messages or information that way. Here's my information. Although I work in Stanton, I want to make myself available to you if you have any questions or concerns. If you want me to come to your house and do a walkthrough with you, or you have some specific concerns, I'll be more than happy to come down and meet with you at your house and see if there's anything I can look at for you if you have any specific questions. My email address is up there. That's usually the best way to get a hold of me, because even when I'm not at work, I do check my email, especially on the weekends. But again, if it's something urgent or an urgent matter, to call dispatch. I left some information for you up here, just some reference guides on to safeguard yourself I have a checklist. I have a list of the scams going around. Does anybody here have teenagers? I also, for parents, I do a separate training on social media safety for kids, but we kind of identified some phone apps that we want parents to be aware of as far as people who target children online and some of the information sharing. I will tell you, if you do have social media, unless you're like Instagram famous or maybe a movie star, but keep it private. Keep your settings private. Don't just accept friend requests from people that you don't know, because we don't know what their intentions are. Especially for kids, like teenagers will have like 3,000 followers. I'm like, who knows 3,000 people? You don't know those 3,000 people. And we don't know who people are online and who they're pretending to be. And I know it's hard as parents to have these conversations with your kids, but we have found that when parents talk to their kids about online safety, they will relay to you when something is not right. But you have to kind of let them know you know what's on their phone, because as a parent today, technology is very advanced and kids are very savvy with their phone. I mean, they're like magicians with their cell phone. But if you have any questions, if you have kids or you have any questions about online safety, please let me know. On that website, there is stuff for online safety for parents when it comes to, because even kids, what do? They give information out to people online. And they'll give names, they'll give their birth dates, they'll give phone numbers, addresses. So do you have those conversations with your kids about safety? If you have grandkids, anything like that. Again, we can't stop technology from happening, but we can safeguard ourselves with technology and educate ourselves on it. So this is for the parents. I know this is a lot of information to go through, but I hope it kind of keeps your mind open. And I do encourage you to talk to your neighbors. So if this is something that you guys want to do again, I'll be more than happy to come back out. If there's specific concerns you have or you want to talk in private, I'll make myself available, or you can send me an email if that makes you more comfortable. Does anybody have any specific questions or concerns? Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Yeah, any hard-lined phone lines, it does show your address and phone number. Okay, just the cell phones don't do that. Now, with the technology that the Sheriff's Department have, we do have, it's called a rapid deploy system, and it pings your cell phone. When you call 911, it's pretty accurate, but it's not like your exact address. It gives us a pretty specific location, probably 400 feet of where you're calling. So the first thing when you call 911 on your cell phone is to give us your address right away or where you're at, so we can know that location. Yes. It does. And I actually have a landline myself. I'm kind of old school, so I keep the landline. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. So I had heard that you kind of have some people in a neighborhood watch, so you guys have contacts? Perfect. Just reach out to what's in place. I can specifically meet with the neighborhood watch group to kind of pass out this information as well, update the information, and then I would encourage you to reach out to your neighborhood watch to be a part of the neighborhood watch. Yes. Okay, good. Yes. Yes, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a comment,
okay.
And that is compliments to the sheriffs, because I've had to use them.
Okay.
I am so impressed with how fast they get to my house, how many resources they bring to bear, honestly.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, very good. So.
It's nice to hear a positive comment. Thank you. And I'm grateful for the captain to allow me to come here because for us, especially as a crime prevention person, just my background, I am a retired police officer, so I do care about the community. I do care about preventing people from being victims. It's very personal and even for law enforcement, when we have to deal with victims, it really is hard for us when someone is a victim of a crime. So if there's a small percentage that we can do to deter one person from being a victim, then that's a win for law enforcement, and that's our goal, to educate you on this kind of stuff. Well, yeah, thank you. So, Captain, do you want to say anything?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you again. Appreciate you all coming here. you know, we do want to be in good partnership with the community, with the city, and we have a lot of resources available. You could go to ocsheriff.gov, a website. Most of this information is on there, or reach out to Sarah, and if you have a question, she can help. Technology, right? And we can put you in contact with that stuff. And the key thing is again, is just remaining vigilant. You got to have kind of that mindset. And kind of funny story, just last night, we were going out to dinner to visit some relatives who were in town. And a nice area, nice restaurant. And it's me and my wife and my mom and one of my boys are in the car. And we're going to get out, and my wife's like, oh, I'm going to leave my purse in the car. I'm like, no, you're not. You know, I just bought you a brand new car. I don't want to replace the window. But, you know, it's easy to get lax, and it's easy to say, oh, this is a nice place. I'll put it under the seat. Well, like Sarah alluded to, there's people in these parking lots that are watching. And if they see, you know, a lady get out of a car, does she have a purse? Because most of the time, you have a purse with you, right? So if you get out without one, they're like, well, let me go check this car. So even for us, and, you know, we have these conversations all the time, it's easy to kind of get lax. So we need to make sure we're staying vigilant in our neighborhoods when we're out shopping, and just remind each other to, you know, protect ourselves. So thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, let us know. Mayor Pitts.
Thank you and Sarah for coming out tonight, sharing this information with us, because we think it's important for the community to hear, you know, the best tips on how we can, you know, enhance safety and security within the community. But thank you, especially for all you do.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's nice meeting you.
Okay.
Thank you,
nice
sir.
to meet
Thank
you.
you for
Thank
having me.
you.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave a bunch of this stuff.